What's goody? It's your boy CJ Goodfellow. We back with the Boxing Clinic. Y'all know what it is. Shout out to the LDBC. Shout out to the YTBC. Don't forget we got the new tech page popping. You know, cut the cost of cable. Get rid of Netflix. We got all the information there. Videos up right now. Don't forget the Facebook page. Join that gang. And if you want to donate, it's greatly appreciated. Because we got a lot of big things coming. Shot our first live show yesterday. Talked about the NFL playoffs, H&M controversy, and some NBA. Look forward to the boxing show Sunday night, right? Probably around 8, 9. Got some few guys coming on. It's a special guest, so be on the lookout for that. But Floyd Mayweather Jr., the money man. You know, a lot of people say he ducked prime black fighters in his career. And we're going to tackle that question. Now, coming up, he did fight Sharba Mitchell. I mean, he wasn't the biggest name. Fought Zab Judah, you know. DeMarcus Chop Corley, who buzzed him a little bit. But his career was pretty much predicated on fighting Latino Spanish fighters. And here's why, you know, because let's start off. Devin Alexander made a comment a few years ago saying that Floyd, basically, ducked black fighters. And you definitely can make that assumption, but but you can look back in history. He called out Shane Mosley at 35. Shane Mosley chose to jump up 2 weight classes and fight Oscar De La Hoya. You know, that would have right here dispelled that notion that, he was afraid of black fighters. And Shane Mosley at 35 was one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Right up there with Roberto Duran. I think it's a preference to choose between the two. Shane was just that dynamic at 135, and if Floyd could have defeated Shane at 35, which was a tough fight for Floyd, and he would have been a big underdog. Well, I'm going to say a big underdog. He would have been quite an underdog. I don't think this question wouldn't have came up. But Shane, of course, Shane, why would you fight Floyd Mayweather, who brought nothing to the table at the time, and then move up, and then you can move up 2 weight classes and fight Oscar De La Hoya and make millions. So that was common sense. Not saying Shane ducked him; it was just business. But yeah, people could say he ducked Paul Williams and Timothy. I ain't gonna say Timothy Bradley, but just the notion that he ducked young, black fighters in their prime. I mean, he had an opportunity to face Austin Trout. I ain't gonna say he had an opportunity, but if Austin Trout would have beat Canelo Alvarez, most people say that Floyd Mayweather wouldn't have fought Austin Trout. It wouldn't have been worth it. And the reason why Floyd, pretty much fought all these Spanish, Latino fighters, or even guys, foreign guys, is the simple fact that they brought more revenue to the table. His whole point in boxing at that point, turning from Pretty Boy to Floyd Money Mayweather, was to make as much money as possible and make the best events. And the Spanish Latino fighters had the biggest followings. Let's be real. Black fighters don't have great followings. Even guys that's retired or active on this list. Paul Williams, even though I don't have him up here, he didn't have a huge fan following. Timothy Bradley never had a huge fan following. Devin Alexander could fill up small arenas in St. Louis, but he never had a large fan following. Austin Trout never had a large fan following. Keith Thurman, Earl Spence, they still building, but I don't think they ever gonna get that large fan following. And when certain guys like who Floyd fought, like as far as Ricky Hatton, Oscar, Pacquiao, Marquez, all these guys had fans that would travel to come see them fight, pay to come see them fight. It was about a revenue thing, and he never gave, he never tried to, he's not going to pass the torch, but he never tried to pass the torch to a young black fighter or to a black fighter in their prime, plus the risk didn't match the reward. He's really now in the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in the business of making money and breaking records. And it's hard to break records with guys that don't have fan followings, guys that that don't have ethnic followings, that country behind them. America does not support a lot of fighters. Let's keep it real. They don't. They don't support their own fighters or whatever it is, but you got guys from Mexico who got a whole country behind them. Even Madonna had a nice following fighting Floyd Mayweather. He had a bigger following than most of these guys, well, all these guys on the list, in my opinion. And it's about revenue for Floyd. It wasn't about proving that he was the best in the ring when he became Money Mayweather. He felt like he proved that at Pretty Boy. Now it was about maneuvering and making business deals secure the future of his kids and his legacy as far as money-wise, And that's facts. Will some of these guys gave him a run for his money? Absolutely. And what I think Devin Alexander was getting at, saying the speed and the athletic ability that and the slickness that a black fighter would present will give Floyd trouble. And people look at the Zab Judah fight, and they think that because Zab gave him a good run for his money. I believe Zab was coming off a loss to Carlos Baldomir, and he competed with Floyd and showed that it was cheeks and Floyd armor. But at the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather broke Zab down, and we know what Zab did and what happened after that with the ring brawl and all that. But he overcame it, and maybe that's giving people that glimmer of hope and say if Floyd fought somebody that wasn't flat footed, that had good hand speed, that was in their prime, a black fighter that was slick, maybe he wouldn't have been undefeated. And that question is still out there. But he proved to be Zab. He proved to be Mitchell. He proved to be Chop Chop. I'm not saying that Chop Chop and Mitchell are the top guys, but he proved to beat him. He called out Shane. Didn't work for him, And once he got to the top, he didn't want to fight none of those guys that wasn't going to bring him 20, 30 million, and eventually $100 million fights. And that's what it came down to. He was more, in my opinion, worried about his revenue legacy, the money he put in, than his actual boxing legacy and resume. When he became Money Mayweather, I think he felt at Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather stage in his career. He proved that. He paid his dues, and now was his time to, call the shots and be top dog. And that's what he think. And the notion will always be out there that he never fought a young, hungry black fighter with athletic ability and was quick. He always fought flat-footed Spanish Latino fighters that he was more athletic than. But it is what it is. He did what he had to do. He beat who he had to beat in front of him. And, he didn't fight Paul Williams. Neither did Pacquiao. You can say the same thing about Pacquiao. He avoided Nate Campbell, I believe, at lightweight to be a lineal champion, or undisputed champion, whatever it may have been. I mean, he fought Clottey, but Clottey, it's not an American black fighter. He doesn't have that type of style. And you can say the same thing about a lot of different fighters. But they beat who they beat in front of them. They built their legacy. A lot of people paid to see them win or lose. And, a lot of people say, they hope Canelo would beat him. And even people say, I hope Guerrero would beat him. I hope Madonna would beat him. Hope Ricky Hatton would beat him. Hope Arturo Gotti would beat him. Hope Diego Corrales would beat him. He beat who they beat. He beat who they put in front of him. Who he chose at the end. And, this is just going to be a debate to keep debating about. But, it is what it is. He did what he had to do. Don't forget the links in the description. It's the Boxing Clinic. We gone.